Have you ever wondered why some people can make you feel like the most radiant woman in the room, only to tear you down quietly when no one is watching? Some women learn this lesson too late. Others learn it just in time. It is the lesson of the narcissist. A narcissist is not merely a selfish person. Selfishness is human. Narcissism is archetypal. It is a distortion of the self, a spiritual and psychological wound that creates a hollow core inside a person, forcing them to survive by feeding off the energies of others. In ancient myths, this is the vampire, the siren, the mirror that traps the soul. In modern life, it is the lover who devours rather than cherishes, the friend who drains rather than uplifts, the partner who demands your devotion but offers none in return. Narcissists are not born from nothing. They are created, shaped in childhood by wounds they refuse to confront. Somewhere along the way, they decided the truth of who they are was unacceptable. So they built a mask, a grandiose self, a shining image to protect the fragile child beneath. But the price of this mask is enormous, the inability to truly connect. The narcissist cannot love, because love requires mutual recognition. It requires seeing and being seen, naked and imperfect. That is unbearable for the narcissist. So instead of love, they offer seduction and control. At first, it feels like love. The narcissist is a master of attention. They can read the room with surgical precision. They know what you long to hear. They know how to position themselves as the answer to your deepest desires. If you crave safety, they become your protector. If you crave passion, they become your wildfire. If you crave recognition, they shower you with praise. They play their role perfectly until you begin to ask for real intimacy. Then the game shifts. The first sign is subtle, a look of disdain when you share your feelings, a cold glance when you set a boundary, a sudden withdrawal of affection that leaves you spiraling in confusion. You wonder, what did I do wrong? But this is the trap. You did nothing wrong. You simply stopped playing the part they scripted for you. Narcissists do not relate to others as equals. They relate through power dynamics. You are either boosting their ego or you are threatening it. There's no middle ground. You might think you are having a conversation, but they are keeping score. You might think you are sharing love, but they are measuring control. This is not partnership, it is possession. The second sign emerges soon after, manipulation cloaked in care. They tell you they are only criticizing you because they want the best for you. They remind you of your flaws, but always in ways that make you question your own worth. This is not growth. They are not guiding you to improve. They are destabilizing you, making you easier to control. And when you push back, even gently, the narcissist reveals the third sign, punishment. Punishment can take many forms. Sometimes it is outright rage, a sudden explosion meant to scare you into submission. More often, it is the quiet punishment, the silent treatment, the cold shoulder, the removal of affection. They disappear emotionally, leaving you alone in a void of rejection. This is not a coincidence, it is a tactic. By pulling away, they condition you to chase them, to apologize for imaginary crimes, to make yourself smaller just to bring back the warmth you once felt. The fourth sign is gaslighting. The narcissist distorts reality to keep you off balance. They will say things never said, deny things that happened. They will call you too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. They will twist the narrative so many times that you begin to doubt your own memory, your own perception, your own sanity. This is not accidental, it is strategic. If you no longer trust yourself, you will have no choice but to rely on them. And so the cycle continues. At times, the narcissist may return to charm. They will sprinkle kindness and affection just enough to keep you hooked. It is like feeding sugar to a starving body. You get just enough sweetness to forget the poison. This is the fifth sign, the trauma bond. Your nervous system becomes addicted to the roller coaster of highs and lows, of praise and punishment. You confuse chaos with chemistry. You mistake anxiety for passion. You find yourself craving the very person who is hurting you. But beneath the chaos, there is a deeper pattern, a pattern rooted in archetypal dynamics between the wounded masculine and the disempowered feminine. The narcissist embodies the tyrant archetype, the false king who rules not through love but through fear. And you, if you are not careful, become the martyr, the woman who sacrifices her own well-being in the desperate hope of being chosen, being seen, being enough. This is the sixth sign. You begin to betray yourself. You silence your intuition. You justify their behavior. You abandon your needs. You shrink to fit their desires. You tell yourself this is love, but it is not love, it is self-erasure. And yet, part of you stays. Why? Because the narcissist has tapped into your shadow, the part of you that fears abandonment, the part that longs to be special enough to heal someone else's wounds, the part that believes deep down that if you can just love them right, they will finally give you the connection you crave. But they won't. They can't. The narcissist is not capable of meeting you in real love because they have not met themselves. And this is the seventh and final sign. The cycle never ends unless you end it. Some women spend years trapped in the cycle, circling the same emotional maze, hoping each time they will find a new door out. But the narcissist builds labyrinths, not relationships. Their world is made of mirrors reflecting your best qualities back to you when they need to, and shattering them when they don't. It is not about who you are to them, but what role you serve in their psychological theater. You are the audience, the reflection, the prop, but you are never truly seen. To the narcissist, intimacy is dangerous because it threatens the mask they have constructed. Real connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability exposes the fragile ego beneath their grand performance. So instead of embracing love, they stage manage it. They control the script, direct the scenes, and discard the characters when they no longer serve the narrative. This is not a flaw, it is a survival strategy. A narcissist is someone frozen at the developmental stage where the ego has consumed the soul. They fear insignificance more than anything else. Seneca wrote, "He who fears death will never act freely." The narcissist fears psychological death, being ordinary, being unremarkable, being unseen. So they construct a false self grand enough to protect them from this terror. But maintaining this facade costs them the ability to be real. You may think you can love them into wholeness, but that is the wound of the healer archetype in you. The woman who believes she must fix the broken to be worthy of love. This is shadow work, the painful awareness that part of you is complicit in your own suffering, not because you deserve it, but because you have been conditioned to confuse sacrifice with connection. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The narcissist exploits your unconscious wounds, but they are not your fate. They are your mirror. They show you where you have yet to set boundaries, where you still seek validation outside yourself, where you silence your inner voice to avoid the pain of rejection. But the moment you see the pattern is the moment you can break it. When you begin to withdraw your energy from the narcissist, they sense it immediately. They often respond with what psychologists call hoovering, attempts to suck you back into the cycle. They may suddenly apologize, declare their love, promise to change. But notice, these promises rarely come with true introspection. They are performance, not transformation. The narcissist is not offering growth, they are offering bait. And if you take it, the cycle starts again. You might ask yourself, how can someone love me so intensely and yet harm me so deeply? The answer is they don't love you. They love how they feel when they control you. They love the role you play in their narrative. But love is not possession. Love is not keeping someone small so you can feel big. Marcus Aurelius taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You cannot control whether the narcissist heals. You cannot make them see their shadow. You cannot force them into therapy or introspection. But you can control whether you continue to participate in their game. This is the moment of choice, the pivot point where suffering becomes growth, where chaos becomes clarity. The narcissist will not change because change requires humility, and humility threatens the false self they worship. But you can change. You can step out of the role you've been playing. You can stop dancing in their theater. But stepping away comes with grief. It is not just the loss of the narcissist you mourn, it is the loss of the fantasy. The fantasy that this was real love. The fantasy that your devotion could heal them. The fantasy that one day, if you just loved enough, they would see you, choose you, protect you. Grieving the fantasy is part of the awakening. It is not weakness, it is release. As you let go, you begin to feel the ache of emptiness where the narcissist once stood. But that ache is not loneliness, it is space. Space for your own self to return. Space for your voice, your desires, your boundaries. Space for real love, not performative affection wrapped in control. Some women fear this emptiness because they have been trained to associate their worth with relational success. But real empowerment comes not from keeping a relationship at any cost. It comes from knowing when to walk away. This is not about hate. It is about self-respect. The narcissist is not your enemy. They are your teacher, a harsh, painful teacher who has shown you where you abandon yourself. But now the lesson is complete. You can stay in the cycle, or you can rise. And rising is not about fighting the narcissist. It is about no longer needing them. It is about stepping into a life where your worth is not negotiated, your needs are not minimized, and your soul is not sold for momentary validation. It is about choosing yourself. And the woman who chooses herself becomes untouchable to those who would use her. At first, choosing yourself feels unnatural, especially if you've spent years or perhaps a lifetime defining your worth through the eyes of others. You were conditioned, perhaps since childhood, to perform for love, to be agreeable, to be quiet when you're uncomfortable, to dismiss your intuition for the sake of harmony. The narcissist found you because of this conditioning. Like a wolf that can smell an open wound, they sensed your empathy, your tolerance, your longing to be seen. But instead of honoring these qualities, they exploited them. And now, as you reclaim yourself, you must confront the shadow of your own people-pleasing. You must ask yourself the questions no one else can answer. Why did I stay? What part of me thought I deserved this treatment? Why did I betray my own knowing just to hold on? These are not accusations. They are doorways. Jung taught that the shadow is not just darkness, it is potential. The parts of ourselves we repress hold not only our wounds, but also our strength. When you integrate your shadow, you do not become cold or distant. You become whole. The woman who has faced the narcissist and survived knows this transformation intimately. She learns to embrace her inner contradictions, the healer and the warrior, the lover and the guardian, the softness and the boundary. She no longer splits herself to fit the expectations of others. She becomes unified, sovereign. This process is not linear. There are days when you will feel empowered, and days when you will feel the old ache return. The narcissist may still haunt your thoughts, not because you miss them, but because your nervous system remembers the cycle. Healing is a rewiring not just of the mind, but of the body. Your heart may still skip a beat when you see their name pop up on your phone. Your stomach may still twist at the memory of their cold eyes. This is normal. Trauma is not something you think your way out of, it is something you heal through practice, through time, through self-loyalty. You begin to develop new rituals of self-care that are not about indulgence, but about devotion. You sit with your feelings instead of fleeing from them. You journal not to ruminate, but to witness yourself. You walk in silence, breathe deeply, and reconnect to the world outside the narcissist's shadow. Nature becomes a mirror that does not distort you. It simply reflects you back to yourself. As you grow, you start to notice patterns in other people too. You see the subtle signs of manipulation not just in romantic partners, but in friends, co-workers, even family. You recognize love bombing when it happens. You sense when someone is more interested in controlling you than connecting with you. This is not cynicism, it is clarity. The woman who has walked through narcissistic abuse becomes a detector of truth. She no longer mistakes charisma for character. She understands that charm is easy, integrity is rare. This new awareness shifts your entire life. You begin to attract different relationships, ones that feel calm, grounded, mutual. At first, calm may feel boring, especially if you've been addicted to emotional roller coasters. But soon you realize that calm is not boredom, it is peace. And peace, for a woman who has survived emotional chaos, is revolutionary. The narcissist may try to re-enter your life. They often do. They sense when you have moved on, and it threatens their sense of control. They might send messages, apologize, claim they've changed. But you will see through it now, not because you are bitter, but because you are awake. You understand that real change requires humility, therapy, deep self-work. It is not a sudden promise, it is a long journey, one the narcissist is unlikely to take, because their entire identity is built on avoiding self-reflection. And so, you do not respond. Or if you do, it is with neutrality, not engagement. You have nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to win back. You have stepped out of the arena. This is where real power lies, not in control over others, but in mastery over your own reactions. You stop looking for closure from the person who broke you. You understand now that closure is an inside job. It happens the moment you stop seeking explanations and start creating meaning. The moment you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me about myself?" And the lesson is profound. You learn that your worth is not dependent on being chosen. You learn that love is not sacrifice. You learn that protecting your peace is more important than maintaining appearances. You learn that loneliness is less painful than betrayal. Most importantly, you learn that walking away is not failure, it is freedom. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from self-abandonment. Freedom from the cycle of proving, pleasing, performing. You begin to write a new narrative. One where your needs are valid, where your boundaries are sacred, where your love is a gift, not a transaction. This new story is not about revenge. It is not about showing the narcissist what they lost. It is about stepping into a life where you no longer lose yourself. It is about standing so firmly in your own worth that no partner, no friend, no family member can shake it. It is about knowing that your power is not in being desired, it is in being whole. There comes a day when you no longer think of the narcissist as often. Their presence fades like the echo of a storm that has long passed. The memories may still surface, but they no longer grip your throat or twist your stomach. They are just that, memories, not chains. This is when you realize healing is not about forgetting what happened. It is about remembering without reliving. It is about looking back with clarity, not longing. About seeing the full picture, the love bombing, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the punishment, and finally understanding that none of it was love. Love does not require you to vanish. And so, you stop mourning the person you thought they were. You let go of the fantasy. You stop revisiting the arguments in your mind, crafting better comebacks, imagining alternate endings. There's no alternate ending to a story built on falsehoods. The only ending is awakening. And awakening is never soft at first. It is a shattering. It is the collapse of the house you built in someone else's image. But from the rubble, something sacred begins to grow. You. The woman who rises from this experience is different from who she was before. She is no longer naive about the human shadow, her own or anyone else's. She no longer wears rose-colored glasses, but neither does she harden into bitterness. She carries discernment, which is wisdom, not cynicism. She knows now how to listen to the body. The subtle tension in her shoulders when someone is crossing a boundary. The tightness in her chest when a conversation feels manipulative. The pit in her stomach when a promise sounds too good to be true. These sensations are no longer ignored or minimized, they are guidance. The body always knows before the mind does. She learns to trust this knowledge, to pause when she feels it, to ask herself, am I abandoning myself right now? Am I shrinking to make someone else comfortable? Am I confusing attention with affection, intensity with intimacy? These questions become her compass. The woman who has faced the narcissist and survived also learns a new form of love, self-love that is not performative, not cosmetic, but cellular. It is not about bubble baths and affirmations, though those can be part of it. It is about the radical act of choosing herself in moments when the old pattern would have chosen someone else's comfort over her own. She becomes her own safe place, and in doing so, she stops attracting predators disguised as lovers. She is no longer a vibrating signal for the narcissist's radar. Her energy no longer says, choose me, I'll prove I'm worthy. It says, I choose myself, and if you cannot meet me with respect and reciprocity, I'll walk away without hesitation. This energy is magnetic but not to narcissists. It repels those who thrive on control and manipulation. It draws in those who respect autonomy, who value honesty, who seek connection, not consumption. For the first time, she feels what real love might actually be, not a high-stakes game of winning someone over, but a quiet, steady presence, a meeting of souls, not a clash of egos. Love that expands rather than contracts. Love that feels safe, not addictive. And if love does not come right away, she is at peace with that too, because solitude is no longer punishment. It is sanctuary. She no longer fears her own company because she has made peace with herself. The loneliness that once haunted her has been replaced by self-respect. She understands now that the narcissist did not break her, they revealed the cracks already there. The places where she outsourced her worth, where she confused people-pleasing with love, where she silenced her voice to avoid abandonment. But these cracks are no longer shameful. They are where the light gets in. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, rather than who you were conditioned to be. It is not about perfection. It is about wholeness, integration, shadow and light, tenderness and strength. She no longer needs someone else to complete her because she was never incomplete. She was simply disconnected from herself. And now the connection is restored. She moves through the world differently now. She speaks with calm authority. She sets boundaries without apology. She listens to her intuition without debate. She does not tolerate emotional games, and she does not mistake chaos for passion. Her peace is non-negotiable, and if the narcissist tries to return, as they often do, she smiles not with cruelty, but with clarity. She understands their pattern, and more importantly, she understands her own. She knows that healing is not a what-I'm event. It is a daily choice, and she chooses herself every time. This is not about revenge. It is about release. She releases the fantasy. She releases the illusion. She releases the need to be chosen by someone incapable of real love. She stands in her own radiance, no longer dimming her light for anyone's comfort. She loves herself enough to walk away from anyone who cannot meet her there, because she knows now, without a doubt, a woman who knows her worth does not pursue, she chooses.